Hello, Blackhawks Nation. Welcome to Blackhawks Daily, your favorite recap of the daily buzz around your Chicago Blackhawks. I'm your host, PJ. Thank you so much for joining all of us in uplifting and supporting the Hawks as they go into their centennial season. Lots to cover with our usual top four topics of today. So let's dive in and have a look around old Blackhawks world, shall we? So I'm recording this Tuesday night. The puck is about to drop in Detroit. We have our first preseason game. How fun is that, right? They're squaring off against the Detroit Red Wings. Boo. At Little Caesars Arena. This is more than just a first puck drop, though. It's a chance for new coach Jeff Blashill, our young players, and returning vets to start making some statements. Let's dive into what to watch for, the projected lineups, and what's at stake. Hopefully you caught the game. You're seeing this on Wednesday. Hopefully you caught the game. But let's talk about what I'm looking for in tonight's game. Jeff Blashill's first game action as Hawks coach. Let's see what he does. Let's see what his thumbprint is on this team. This is Blashill's preseason opener with Chicago. He's had a demanding few practices, conditioning, fast pace, system work. He rolls out lines, how the team responds to the structure and how sharp the effort is on the ice will give us early clues on how this season might look. We're going to look for roster battles and young players pushing for spots. You're going to see a lot of prospects, not just in the press box. Players like Artem Levshinov, Sam Renzel, Kevin Korchinski are expected to get meaningful minutes. Same goes for forwards like Oliver Moore, Aiden Thompson, and Lucas Reichel. There's a name we got to pay attention to. This game is an audition for them. And then, of course, we have the goaltending rotation. Arvid Soderblom is projected to play the full game the start of this preseason. He gets to set the tone early. Drew Comesso is expected to get some work later on or in upcoming games. So we'll just see how it plays out. And then also the projected lines. Some of the projected forward pairings, we've had Bedard with Bertuzzi, Teravainen, Donato, had him with Burakovsky. Now they're also saying Colton Dach and Bedard and Lucas Reichel as a line. At least that's what Chicago Hockey Now says. Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar, Aiden Thompson. On defense, I've heard this a lot. Wyatt Kaiser and Levshinov getting back together as a pair. And also, very interestingly, we talked about Mr. Del Mastro. Del Mastro and Renzel have been a pretty solid pairing, so that's going to be fun to watch this season. And also, Korchinski and Crevier, among others. So why this matters? Well, it matters because we got systems checks and identity to prove, right? So Blashill's been pushing a new structure, back checking details and practice. Tonight is when we're going to see how much of this has been internalized versus still going through the drills, right? And also, it's setting early depth charts. Because the roster's crowded and several young defenders and forwards are fighting for real NHL minutes, early preseason games like this give an early litmus test as to who might be sticking around. And then there's momentum and confidence. Even through preseason wins, they don't matter, right? But they don't matter in the standings, but they do in the mindset. A solid showing tonight could build confidence, especially for the younger guys. So, if I were placing some bets, I expect this purported line of Bedard, Dach, and Reichel to have some good chemistry. Reichel has something to prove. Tonight's line gives him that platform, right? He's playing with arguably our best player, or at least our best forward, and so, it could really create some awesome magic between those two guys. And of course, Dach as well. He's got a lot to prove as long as he can stay healthy. On defense, watch for the pairing of Del Mastro and Renzel. If they don't look too overmatched, that bodes well for the roles in this coming season. And the Hawks will likely be aggressive physically, testing Detroit's young players as a way of showing toughness and depth. So that's what I'll be watching for tonight. First look at structure, you stepping up, goaltender performance, and early chemistry. Let me know in the comments, what are your breakout candidates for this game, or even for this for the preseason, and which lines are you most excited to see? Now, that'll be great. You guys are always so awesome with your comments, so greatly appreciated. Moving on from there. So we're deep, into training camp, obviously. Preseason is here. And what it means is it's time to answer one big question. What is the actual expectation for the Blackhawks this season? Is this finally the year we start seeing the light at the end of the rebuild tunnel? Or are we in for another long grind? It's probably another long grind, but we'll get to that. So let's break it down. We're going to use some actual numbers, some projections, and expert takes from around the league. So the data says not quite there yet. According to the Athletics NHL model preview for 25-26, the Blackhawks are projected to finish the season with 69 points. Oof. Down 6 from their preseason projection last year, and once again in the bottom 5 of the league. That projection gives Chicago only a 21% chance to finish outside the league's bottom 10 and 0 for real playoff expectations. Oh, well, but here's the twist. That doesn't mean that the year's of failure waiting to happen. It just means we're not there yet, right? So the big question is, are the kids ready to lead? What everyone is watching, from Chicago media to the national outlets, is how quickly this new wave of young talent can take the reins. Sam Rinzel, been talked about a lot, not only by us, but by everyone, is projected by The Athletic and many others as the Hawks' most likely breakout blue liner, a player who could legitimately step into a second pair role today. Artem Levshinov has sky-high ceiling, but may need more time before handling the top NHL matchups. And up front, it's all about Bedard and Nazar. Nazar's comps include guys like Clayton Keller. Bedard, while slipping slightly in player tier rankings, is still expected to lead this team offensively, and he's only 20. So let's not forget that. So the consensus is the season is really about development. Forget about the playoffs. Do we have weaknesses? Well, yes, of course. We have plenty. Across the board, most analysts agree that Blackhawks still have major holes. The Athletic, again, ranks Chicago 32nd in forward depth behind Bedard. Their bottom 7 forwards combined for a minus 43.8 offensive rating last year, worst in the league. Outside of Rinzel, there isn't a defenseman on the roster expected to generate much offense, but I think we got a couple players who's going to turn that around. And for the goaltending situation, while hopeful, everything hinges on Spencer Knight. And can he prove that he can handle his first time being a full starter? Can he handle that load? Well, we're going to see. So that's why Dom Leshechkin's model, and I know I said that wrong, ranks the Hawks 29th league-wise as a projected minus 55 goal differential. Again, bottom 5. That's just brutal. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom, folks. Kyle Davidson isn't hiding the fact that this season's about growth, development, establishing a new identity. He's told reporters at camp that success this year means, and he says, you starting to propel us forward, seeing our quality play improve, and young players cement themselves as NHLers. So, yeah, don't expect a playoff run, but do expect more NHL games from Rinzel, Nazar, Green, and Lardis. Woohoo, I'm hoping. A chance for Bedard to take a step forward with new line mates like Burakovsky and Donato, if that goes on into the regular season. Again, tonight we're going to see a different lineup, but let's see how it goes with Burakovsky and Donato moving forward. And a defense built from the ground up with real long-term potential. So the consensus for most media, insiders, and analysis folks is this. Red light. Chicago isn't really ready for prime time. Yellow light. The rebuild isn't over. And green light. We're finally going to start seeing what it's building towards. So if things go well, Bedard hits 90 points. Woohoo! That would be awesome. Knight proves he's a starter. Rinzel shines on power play. This team could flirt with 80-plus points and show real signs of life. If not, well, the 2026 draft has some real studs in it as well. So we're not playing for the draft, but this is what everyone's saying. So what do you think? How many points are the Hawks going to get this season? We've waffled around quite a bit with this. This latest one has us pretty high. I mean, if all cylinders are hitting, it has it pretty high, so that's kind of cool. Let me know in the comments. That'll be great to hear from you guys. And now, moving on from there, I'm just taking advantage of a little bit of this downtime to kind of catch us up on some stuff. We talked about the stadium last night, which is awesome. Tonight, let's talk about the history of the Hawks, the Blackhawks name and the logo. So we're going back in time, way, way back, and we're going to dig into how the Chicago Blackhawks got their name and the story behind this amazing, iconic logo. If you've ever wondered where the name Blackhawks come from or why the logo has become one of the most recognized and debated in all of sports, this one's for you. So where did the name Blackhawks come from? Let's rewind just almost 100 years ago, 1926. The NHL was expanding into the U.S. and Chicago was awarded a franchise. So enter Frederick McLaughlin, a wealthy coffee magnate and former Army commander who bought the team. He named the franchise the Blackhawks, 2 words at the time, after the Black Hawk Division, the World War I unit that he served in as a commander. That division, the 86th Infantry Division, was nicknamed the Black Hawk Division in honor of Chief Black Hawk, the Sauk leader who resisted U.S. expansion into the Midwest during the 1830s. So in short, the team name doesn't come directly from Native American imagery or Black Hawk himself, but rather from McLaughlin's military division, which was named after the Native American leader. So now let's talk about that famous logo. The original design, created in 1926, featured a much more simplistic Native American head and profile. It was black and white, minimal detail. Over the decades, the logo has evolved significantly, clearly. By the 1950s, it had taken on the full-color feathered headdress design that we recognize today. The version we see now, with the bold colors, the face paint, and the war feathers, was finalized in 1999 and has remained largely unchanged since then. This logo is one of the oldest, most iconic crests in professional sports. It's consistently ranked near the top of the NHL logo rankings and fan polls for its detail and legacy. In 2008, the Hockey News named it the best logo in the NHL. I will name it the best logo in all of sports. I mean, come on. But as you might expect, especially in recent years, the logo and name haven't been without controversy. Some Native American groups have raised concern over cultural appropriation and misrepresentation. Okay, got that. Sure, absolutely. But unlike teams such as the Washington Redskins or the Cleveland Indians, the Blackhawks have so far not changed their name or logo. Instead, the organization has leaned into community education and partnerships. In 2020, the team announced it would expand awareness of Native American history and culture through engagement, education, and community support. They've also worked with Native groups to provide proper historical context about Chief Black Hawk and the team's name origin while retaining their current branding. So, the Chicago Blackhawks name isn't just a team nickname. It's tied to military history, a legendary Native American leader, and nearly a century of hockey tradition. The logo, one of the most recognizable in the league, and one that continues to spark conversation about history, heritage, and representation in sports. Whether you're new to the team or a lifelong fan, understanding the roots of the name and the logo adds another layer of what makes this franchise one of the NHL's most storied. So, what do you think? Do you think we should ever? Personally, I don't think we should change the Blackhawk name. I don't think we should ever update the logo. I love the logo. I love the name. I also love the fact, and I could be very wrong in this, but I also love the fact that we're still celebrating someone, in a way, a prominent member of the Native American society. We're still having him in conversation. We're still uplifting him as well, and just Native American legacy in general. And it's not done in a negative way. We're all cheering for the Hawks. I think it's a positive, and I'm trying to see it that way. I totally get cultural appropriation. I totally get someone saying, "Get our name out of your mouth." Totally understand that. But if we're not celebrating this logo and we're not celebrating this team name, I don't know. There's not a lot of outlets these days that celebrate Native American history, and that's a bigger problem. But at least this one, the context is still positive, and I hope it goes for a long, long time. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And speaking of comments, we got your hot takes. We got a couple couple of people coming in here today. We got Beans, 7014, definite repeat offender. He said, thanks for the great Hawks content this summer, PJ. Oh, you're welcome, sir. I know it's preseason, but I'm going to game in St. Louis on Saturday. Wear the sweater, buddy. Wear the hat. Be loud. Be proud. And let them know you're there, because I hope we destroy the Blues. I just hope we do. Anyway, 100 years of Hawks hockey. Let's go Hawks. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Beans. You the man. Lester, 701, another repeat offender and just generally fantastic person. PJ, there will never be another place like the original Madhouse on Madison Street, the Chicago Stadium. I even knew people who worked there. My late great dad often got tickets to various events at the Chicago Stadium for his boss, one of the nice bosses. Lots of great stories about Chicago Stadium. I even knew people, of course, who work there. Keep up the great work, PJ. Yes, of course. Thank you very much, sir. Chicago Stadium, near and dear to my heart. And actually, we have a new commenter, Charlie-QE6LV, says, went to several games, saw Pens, Hawks, Stanley Cup there, standing room only. Best place ever. Man, that would have been really, really cool. So you were there. So were you there? That was 91. So you were there in 91 when Desert Shield turned to Desert Storm, and then everyone went nuts knowing that it was going to be broadcast to our troops overseas, and everyone had flags and banners supporting the troops, and everyone was roaring during the national anthem. Charlie, I am jealous as F. That would have been so cool, dude. I'm so happy you got to experience that. It's very, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you everyone on your comments. Really, really appreciate it. And that's a wrap for today, Blackhawks Nation. If you're new here, please remember to like and subscribe. If you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support and also for sharing about this channel. The more collective people we get on this, the better. For all my repeat offenders in the comments section, please keep them coming. Love building this community with all of you. So thank you very much for checking out the Blackhawks Daily download every weekday. And as we celebrate the original six team, which is the best team in hockey, with the best fans in all of sports, and we just happen to be located in the best city in the world. So thanks to all of you. I really appreciate it. I'm PJ, and I'll see you next time on the Blackhawks Daily.